Hey guys, and welcome to /Rex Games. Recently I received a comment from a user called IvoD who asked me to make a gun system, not specifically a sprite switching system as he described my other tutorial. From where I left you off in the weapon swapping tutorial, it should have been rather easy to implement a very specific weapon system of your choice. I mean, we've got the switch here with the weapon, which changes depending on what we scroll to with the mouse wheel, and then here we have the various case statements that say, well, if weapon is 0, then do pistol stuff, and this is where you'd pretty much put your bullet creation code in all these different things depending on the weapon. Now, I wouldn't normally do a tutorial on something as specific as this, but I thought at the same time I could show you a little bit about two-dimensional arrays. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to make a two-dimensional array, have like 4 weapons, the pistol, SMG, shotgun, auto rifle, and we're going to fill that array with a whole lot of elements, and then in our global left button over here, we're going to use the elements from that array to make the shooting system as simple as possible. So let's have a look at what the array would look like. Here we go. This is pretty much a graphical representation of the array. We have 4 rows from 0 to 3, and each row represents a different gun: dual pistols, SMG, shotgun, and auto rifle. Then we're going to have, I think it's 13 columns. Each column has some information. For example, first column has the weapon name, second one has ammo, we've got max ammo, we've got rate of fire, we've got the offsets. This is the pixels offset from the origin of the sprite, and so on. And we're also going to have the amount of ammo fired, and the sound ID, and the sprite index, and all that kind of stuff. So when the game starts, we're going to want to fill this 2D array with all this information. Then when we click, or when the player shoots, the global left button event is going to grab the information from that global array, and it's going to do stuff with it. So let's go to the create here of the game world. Now, a lot of these things I have changed because, just to save time. For example, I've added sounds. I do not own these sounds, so please don't use them in your final projects. Then we've got the sprites. I'm using method 2 from the first weapon swapping tutorial. So that's just having one player object in there, or sprite, and then all the different hands depending on the different guns all here. I'll be using that. I've also created a sprite bullet and a sprite pellet, because the shotgun's going to shoot pellets and the other guns are going to shoot bullets, just like that. So that's all the sprites. The background, that's the floor. Font, font HUD, and font small. This is going to tell the user if he's reloading, and this other one is just for the heads-up display. Then the objects, we've got the object player, we've got the object bullet, object pellet. These are pretty much the exact same thing, only when they created, they have a different sprite over there. Then the HUD, as before, this is the HUD over here. We make a color. Then in the draw GUI, I'm setting that up. I'll show you how to do that later. So, room, game world, right over here. We're going to go to the create code over here. And this is pretty much what the 2D array will look like. This is the skeleton for it. We're gonna call it global weapon array. Then here it's gonna have 2 values. This is the row, and this is the column right over there. So like this, if this was 0 for dual pistols, then that would be 0 0 for name of that would be dual pistols. Then it would be 0 1 max ammo, 0 2 ammo, etc. And I'm gonna take it all the way up to 13. I'm going to add 2 here. One's going to be the index of the sprite, and the other one's going to be the HUD index. So what the HUD should display when the user changes weapon. I should just do that now. 12, 13, sprite index, and HUD index. I'm going to put here HUD index. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to initialize everything to 0. Because if I make a comparison, or if I set something to one of these elements, I want to make sure that there does exist a value for it, so that it doesn't bring up any sort of error and cause the game to crash. So we've got for I equals 0, I is less than 4, right? That's the rows, and I increments by 1. Then here for the columns, 13 columns, it's just going to set row and column number at 0. Okay, so now to set this up, we're going to first start with the dual pistols, which will be 0. Then there'll be the SMG, I think it is, then the shotgun, and then the auto rifle. So that'll be from 0 all the way up to 3 as seen in the diagram. Okay, so I've pre-done all of this because it's going to take a long time. If we scroll down all the way down here, we're going to populate the array with real values. Not real values, well, just values. For example, for the pistols, the global weapon array 0, 0 is going to have dual pistols as the name. It's going to have 60 as its, what was first? Oh, that's max ammo. This is just ammo. It's going to have 60 as its max ammo. Then on start, we're just going to set its current ammo to max ammo. Then this is the rate of fire. This is going to handle the pause between each shot. Then we've got the offsets, because the dual pistols have, 2 points where the bullets should come from. If I can find that here, dual pistols. Here's the origin over there. Then there's point 1, point 2. We're going to work out the difference between the origin and those 2 points over there. And yeah, so that's the X1 offset, the Y1 offset, the X2 offset, and the Y2 offset. Because when the pistol shoots, we're going to want the first shot to come from like the left gun, and then it's going to go to the right gun, and then left gun, right gun. We don't want them to shoot at the same time, because that's very boring. Then we've got the sound. This is the sound resource right in there in the 8th position. We've got the speed of the bullet. That's in the 9th position. The reload speed. This is in seconds. The amount of seconds it takes to reload. I've just set this to 10 for the pistols because he has to reload both of them. Then number of shots fired on start is 0. Because we're going to be switching guns, so the player can shoot a bit from this gun, change gun, shoot a bit from that one. We want this variable to track how much has been shot from that current weapon, so that when it gets to the clip size, the reload starts, and it starts to reload. Then we've got here the sprite gun. That's the arms, what the arms will be, and the HUD right over there. So I've done this for the pistols, I've done it for the SMG, the shotgun, and the auto rifle. Notice that some of these don't have. Yeah, 6 and 7 is missing because the SMG, the shotgun, and the auto rifle don't have the second offset, because they've only got one place that the bullet will come from. So let's move this back up here. Okay, so now that we have put all this information into our two-dimensional array, I'm going to copy this for reference, because in the global left breast, we're going to be using all these different elements to create the bullet. So we say OK, close all that, object player. Firstly, in the create, we're going to have some new variables here. I'm going to have can shoot. If you've seen my shooting bullet at the tip tutorial, you'll know exactly what's going on here. First, we set it to true, so the player can shoot as soon as the game starts. Then we've got the dual pistols to take into account here, because there is a left one and a right one. So which one do we want to shoot from first? We're going to say left equals true. So when the game starts, and if the player has the Berettas out, he can shoot from the left one first. And then that'll set to false, and then if left is false, it'll come out of the right one. And then obviously, we want to know if the player is reloading. On start, he is not reloading, just like that. That's very good. So we've got the weapon equals 0. That changes depending on the scroll. Can shoot equals true, left equals true, reloading equals false. So now we've copied the reference of the 2D array. We're going to go into the global left button. This is what we had before. We used a switch and we had some cases, but because number 1 and 3 are pretty similar, they both hold 30 rounds. The shotgun is very different. That's going to shoot a whole lot of pellets for every round it shoots. The pistols, that's going to alternate between the left and right. I'm going to change this very, very much here. So firstly, we've got our reference. Now we're going to use this reference in the code that follows, so that if in future we want to add more guns, it'll be as easy as possible, well, as simple as possible. So first we are going to check weapon, see which weapon the player has. Then we are going to play a sound, because remember, all the guns play one sound when they're shot, so we can play that sound, depending on what weapon it is. We can just put in the weapon variable there, which changes. Remember, if we go to mouse wheel up, there we go. Weapon is less than 3, we're going to plus plus. Also here, only do it if reloading is false. We don't want to change weapon while it's busy reloading, because you can't possibly do that. So we've got that going in there for both of them. So we're going to use this weapon variable to grab the element, or the row, out of that 2D array to see what specifications we're getting. So as we check weapon, we play the sound. Then we're going to create a bullet. create a bullet, and we're going to give the bullet some things. Then we're going to stop, or we're going to pause shooting. Okay, so I'm going to pause shooting, maybe reload. We need to check that if that's the last shot, maybe we need to reload. Also back up here first, I mean, I don't know why I forgot this one, but we need to check that we have ammo and can shoot. So if we don't have ammo and we can't shoot or we're reloading, we want to make sure that it doesn't go to this code. So those are the basic things. Check that we have ammo, check the weapon, play the sound, create the bullet, pause the shooting, and maybe reload. So now that we've got this sort of outline of what we need to accomplish, I'm going to put together a little skeleton that'll accommodate all these different functions that it needs to perform, and then from there we can replace certain variables with those that we have in our weapon array. So first we are going to say, well, if something like ammo is greater than naught, and then we say and can shoot equals true. Right, so if we're allowed to shoot, then here we're going to say, well, if weapon equals 0, if we are going for the dual pistols, then we need to determine where we are shooting from. So is it left or right? So if left equals true, this is where we're going to shoot from the left hand side. So I've copied some code into my clipboard for the shooting here. Going like that. I'll go through it in a second. If you have seen my shooting bullet at the tip tutorial, this will be very, very familiar. So, firstly, ammo decreasing by 1. Then we're creating a bullet ID temporary variable. Then over here we're saying bullet ID equals instance create x, length direction x, len x, which is the offset, image angle minus length direction y, that's the len y offset, etc., etc. It goes down all the way down to there. It's quite a long piece of code, and we're creating object bullet right at the end. Then we're setting the bullet's direction to the direction of our player, and the bullet's image angle to its direction, so that it'll rotate depending on where it's going. So here we're going to say, well, else. So if left is false, and we're just going to copy this for now. Remember, this is just our skeleton outline. Then once we've done that, we need to determine if fired is what's like 30, because if it's 15 in each magazine of each pistol, then it'll be 30. So if fired equals 30, then we're gonna reload over there. Otherwise, if we're not reloading, we are just going to pause shooting. We're going to call an alarm that's going to stop us from shooting another bullet immediately, and that alarm is going to change that left variable to false, so it'll go to this one next, and then it'll check again if it needs to reload. Otherwise it'll repeat that cycle. So now that we've got this all in, we can go to this array and grab the little variables that we need. So ammo was this one, global weapon array I2. So we say if that one is greater than 0. So instead of I here, we're going to say weapon, because when we move the mouse wheel, that's going to change the weapon variable. So if ammo, that stands for ammo, of that element is greater than 0 and can shoot equals true. So if we're allowed to shoot, then here it's going to test, well, if weapon is 0, if it's dual pistols, if left equals true, that's pretty much exactly the same. Then we're going to decrease the amount of ammo. So here we grab that one again, which is the ammo, put it in there. We're going to create the bullet temporary variable ID. Then we're going to create over here, so len x we need to replace with the first offset. Okay, so x1 offset was I4. So len x we're going to replace that, put weapon. Don't forget to add weapon instead of I. So global weapon array, weapon 4, so where we see len x there. And then len y, that was the first y offset, because the dual pistols have two muzzles. We can have the different offsets here. Len y, and then this one was len y for there. So if left equals true, then we're going to shoot out of the left gun. We are going to set the bullet's direction to the image angle of the person. We're going to set its image angle to that of its direction so that it rotates the actual sprite of the bullet to where it's going. And then we also need to say bullet ID dot speed. We need to set the speed of the bullet, and our speed here was muzzle velocity, so that's I9. Grab that, and if we get to change I to weapon, so there we go. So as soon as the bullet is created, it'll fly at the speed that we put into that position in the 2D array. So that is the left side. Now we've got to do the right side. It's got a lot here of code that's the same. I mean, we might as well just take that and put it over here, so we don't have to repeat it. And we can also actually do that, put that over there, so we don't have to repeat that. What else? I mean, ultimately, a lot of this is the same. The only thing that's different is the creation code. So I'm going to put this over here. And then these two, the checking if it's left or right, is just going to create this in the different spots. So that's left. So the right offsets were, let's change that back to I. The right offsets were 6 and 7. So we're going to grab 6 wherever we see Linux here of the second one. Put I6 and change that to weapon. So this is quite a procedure, which is expected, I guess. Let's copy that. Let's go into the other Linux position over here. Len Y was 7, so we change that 6 to a 7. And then the other len Y over here. There we go, len Y. Okay, so those are set up. Oh, this one needs to be changed to weapon. Otherwise that's not going to work. It's all good. It's always a good idea to just go over the code, make sure they're the same. See, this one needs to change to weapon. Cool. Alright, so if it's left, it's going to create a bullet on the left hand side. If it's not, if left is false, then it's going to create one on the right. And then here we are just setting up, what the bullet does, where it goes, how fast it travels. There's the speed. What else do we have? Okay, so shots fired, that's 11. We need to grab this one and check how many shots we've fired. So if we fired 30, which is 2 times 15, each pistol has 15. We're going to assume that each pistol has 15. Then we're going to reload. Now when we reload, we are going to call an alarm. Firstly, we're going to say can shoot equals false. We've just shot, so we don't want them to shoot again. Then here, in reload, we're going to call an alarm 0, and it's going to equal room speed. Oh, that's not how you spell speed. Times it by the reload speed, which was I10, right over there. And also we're going to set reload equals true. Was it reload or reloading? I'm going to go back to the create. It's reloading. So reloading is now going to be true. And then so it's going to call the alarm. Well, let's put this first. Then it's going to first going to set reload to true. Then it's going to call the alarm 0, which is going to go into the over here. It's going to go into an alarm 0, which is going to say, well, firstly, reloading equals false. No longer reloading. Then it's going to say, well, if you were shooting from the left, next time you shoot, I want you to shoot from the right. Otherwise, if you're shooting from the right, you must shoot from the left now. Okay, so not only does it stop reloading, but it also tells the player that if he shoots another bullet, it'll come out of the different gun, to it was last time. So that we've got everything there, and this is going to also set can shoot equals true. Okay, alright. So I think that's pretty much it over here. Now we've also got to add, well, what if we haven't reached the maximum number of bullets in our clip. But we mustn't forget that what we're doing here is we're taking the shots fired, and we're also incrementing that. Because every time we shoot one, it's going to say, well, that's one more out of this clip that has been fired. Then it's going to test, well, yeah, have you shot 30 and reload? Otherwise, it's going to say, no, we haven't shot 30. So all we're going to do is we're just going to pause. So reloading will still be false. We're just going to call a different alarm here. Alarm 1 equals room speed times. We're going to look at the let me see, rate of fire. That's this one, I3. Alarm 1 equals room speed times I3, but don't forget to change all of these to weapon. Weapon. Because remember, the weapon variable is the scrolly, depending on what weapon we have, what we're currently using. Okay, so otherwise we're just going to pause the shooting for a slight second. Can't shoot is false, so we're going to go to alarm 1 is pretty much going to be, it's going to be very similar to alarm 0, only it's not going to have, oh, whoops. Just copy that. Paste that in here. It's just not going to have reloading equals something. It's just going to say can't shoot equals true if we're shooting from the left. Shoot from the right, otherwise shoot from the left. Okay, so that's in there. Back to left button. So yeah, that'll handle pretty much everything we need to have here, but we also need to play a sound over here. Now it doesn't matter. Okay, well over here at line 41 we are checking what weapon we've got. But with the way we have worked out this array, it doesn't matter which weapon we're using because the sound can always be played before it determines what weapon we've got here. So we can say sound ID, I8, put that in there. Remember, change this to weapon. So we just play the sound associated with the weapon column, weapon row, sorry, column 8. And to do that, we're going to say sound play. I think it's sound play. No, it's not sound play. It's audio play. So we can say audio play. What's that? Oh, audio play sound. There we go. Audio play sound. Sound ID is going to be this. Put that in there. Then it's asking priority. Give it maximum 100 priority. Loop false. I only want it to play once. So when the player shoots, if we're allowing him to shoot, it's going to play the sound. Then it's going to check which weapon he's got and create the bullet accordingly. So if weapon equals 0, then it's going to create the bullet depending on which gun it's coming from. Yeah, then it's going to set up some stuff for the bullets, its speed, its direction. It's going to stop the player from shooting immediately again because it's the left button event is a press down event. Then it's going to increment the amount of shots fired from this gun, and it's going to say here, well, if we've shot 30, then reload. Also, another thing is we need to take this, and here, if we're reloading, we've got to set this to 0 again. Yeah, weapon array, weapon 11 equals 0. So once we've reached 30, when we're reloading, now we haven't shot any from this new clip that we've put in, so we're going to set that to 0. And yeah, then we're going to wait the required amount of time it takes to reload. Otherwise, if we still have plenty of bullets in our current clip, we're just going to pause the required amount of shooting, well, the required amount of time between shots right over there. So that is the basic for the dual pistols. So now we've got the SMG and the AK to do, and I think they were SMG and AK. If we go into here, we need to find out what weapon spot they were. Dual pistols was 0, SMG is 1, AK is 3, so 1 or 3. Back to here, we're going to say, well, here we go, weapon equals 0, down here, else if weapon equals 1 or weapon equals 0. No, not 0, 3. 1 or 3. Because the SMG and AK have pretty much, well, they have very similar characteristics. I mean, they both hold 30 rounds. They have their own specifications of shooting and stuff. We can use a lot of the same code in both of them. That's why I've added them here in one statement. So, firstly, the sound's going to play. Then we're going to decrement that. Copy all of this code. A lot of this is exactly the same. All that's going to change is there's going to be no checking for left and right. Like that. It's also using those variables, but we're just taking the first one because remember, the AK and the SMG don't have a second offset. They only have one barrel, so they're using the weapon column 4 there and 5 for the X and Y offset. So here we got the decrease in the amount of ammo. We are making a bullet ID. We are creating it where it needs to be created. We are giving it a direction, an image angle, and a speed. Then we're saying, well, can't shoot anymore. We are increasing the amount shot from the current clip. If the current clip equals 30, then we are saying yes, we are reloading. Then here we are saying, okay, set the current amount of shots we fired in this clip to 0 because it's a new clip. We're going to go to the alarm 0. Wait the required amount of time for reloading an AK or SMG. Otherwise, if we still have bullets to shoot, we are just going to pause the shooting for a brief amount of time depending on the rate of fire. So that's the bullets per second divided by 60 kind of thing. Right over there. So that is pretty much the code for the weapon 1 or weapon 3. So now we just got to add the shotgun. The shotgun is a very special case because every time the player shoots, it's going to create 8 pellets, for every shot. And also the shotgun only holds, like 5 or 6 rounds? I don't know, I'm just going to assume it to be like 6. So we're going to copy this as much as we can, save some time. So if weapon equals 2, which is the shotgun, I think. Let's go have a look. It's always good just to make sure. Moving down the array, we see that shotgun is indeed 2. Back in here. 1, 3, 2. Over here. Okay, so first we are decreasing the amount of ammo. We are creating the bullet where it needs to be created. We are stopping the player from shooting. We are increasing the amount of rounds currently shot. And here we're going to say, well, if we've shot 6 rounds, then we're going to reload. Also, here I want to create a pump sound because it's a pump action shotgun. So we're also going to have alarm. I can just copy this for a second. Bam, bam. I think this has to be alarm 2 equals room speed times, I don't know. How long does a shotgun take to reload? Oh wait, this is the pump sound, sorry. This has got to go down here. Put that back. Go here. Shotgun takes 3 seconds to reload. And it takes 1 second to shoot. So every 1 second it fires 1. Back down here. I'm just going to set it to the half amount of time of this 3 here. And then it'll just play a pump sound. So let's go to alarm 2. Alarm 2. I'm going to say sound. Oh, was it audio play sound? I don't know, it's really weird. Audio play sound pump. And it's going to have 100 and it's not going to loop. So we'll just do that. I think that should be cool. Go back to here. Okay, so got that. Also, I've just remembered that we can't reload if we don't have any more ammo. So I'm going to go back here to the dual pistols. I'm going to say, well, if, and then we've got to see ammo was 2. Yeah, so we just say, well, if that is still greater than 0, then we can reload. Easy as that. Otherwise, I'm just going to set can shoot back to true, which means the player won't be able to shoot because remember up here at the top it's checking if we have ammo. So it's going to say, well, no, that fails, we can't shoot. But here at the same time, can shoot is used by all the guns. So we're going to set that to true. So the user still has the chance to change weapon to something else and then immediately shoot with that one. So we've got that. We need to also do this for the... what's it for? Oh, wait. Oh, that was the AK. Put it in here. So this is quite a long procedure. But you'll see in the end it'll look really, really cool. I think that's all. Yeah, if we have ammo, reload. Otherwise, set it to shoot and let the player change weapons. You do that here. Can shoot equals true. And that is not the right bracket. Alright, so that's cool. We've got the pump sound happening right over there. That looks like it might be about everything. Now, remember, the shotgun has pellets. It doesn't have... Well, I mean, if you're using a slug, then it's just one round that looks pretty much similar to the bullet. But for this case, I'm going to use all 8 little pellets. So we're going to say repeat, and then we say 8. I assume there's 8 pellets in a shotgun shell. I haven't exactly done my homework on that. But for each time, we're going to do this. Right? And again, it's getting the offset of the shotgun. It's going to set the direction. Now, over here, for direction, it's not going to be facing the image angle of the player. I'm going to say image angle plus, then over here I'm going to say I random range, and I'm going to tell it to choose, choose between minus 10 and 10, and wait, oh, I can just say I random range minus 10 and 10 pretty much. Then we've got obviously the image angle and the bullet ID, that's all good. So 8 times it's going to create a bullet ID. It's going to create well, they're all going to start from the muzzle, so they all have the exact same point of origin. Then they're going to have a spread, a random spread between -10 and 10. So that image angle is going to add or minus from there. So, it'll have a nice arc. Then we're setting up the image angle to their direction and their speed and everything. So once that's all cool. So, with all this code done right over here, we've got the checking if we have ammo and can shoot. We've done that. We're checking what weapon. We've done that with all 4 of them. We're playing the sound. That comes first over here. Then we are creating the bullet in the different ways the bullet is created for the different weapons. We're pausing the shooting, and we may be reloading. And we've also taken into account that we can't reload if we don't have any ammo. Now, as you can see, I've reproduced a lot of this code that I already had prepared here at the bottom. I just thought it would have been easier to type it out with you, just in case there's any problems. Also, another thing before we end here, we're going to say, well, if we don't have ammo, then we're going to play an empty clip sound. So, sound play. Well, we might as well just say, well, exactly if we don't have ammo. Whoops, if equals 0. Bam. This was audio, sorry. Audio play sound. Sound ID was sound. I think it was clip, empty clip or something. Sound empty, yeah. And it's going to get max priority and false. Cool. So I'm going to comment out all this other code that I had here. It's going to have way more comments than the one. I mean, I haven't put any comments down really on these ones. So when you get the project file in the description, I'll probably be giving you all of this with all the different comments of what's happening. It's more in depth than the one that we've just created now. So Hopefully when we push play this will be the same. I do hope so. Some other things I need to go over. Well, here we have the alarms. We've gone over that. The first alarm is for the reloading. Sets it to count shoot equals true and alternates between the muzzles. Alarm 1, that is the same as alarm 0, only it's not for reloading. This is just the pause between each shot. And the alarm 2 is just to play the pump sound with the shotgun. In the step here we have code to handle where the player is looking and some movement code over there. We've got global left press, which we just checked out. Mouse wheel up, again, it says if reloading is false, then we can change weapon. Up, we can change weapon up. The same with the down one, if reloading equals false, we can go down. We don't want the player to change weapon while they're reloading. And then in the draw, I'm using, I think it was method 2. So in here I've got draw sprite extended. In sprite index here I've got global weapon array weapon 12. The 12th element there in the weapon array 2D array. That's going to check what weapon is, and the 12th one was the name of our sprite index. We can go to here, I can show you. Number 12 in this case is sprite gun dual pistols, then we got sprite gun SMG, sprite gun shotgun, and sprite gun auto rifle. I'm doing the same kind of thing when it comes to the HUD. It's also going to get the HUD index here from the 2D array. So if we go into HUD over here, in the create, it's just going to make a color. Then here, it's going to set some stuff up. Then we're going to draw the sprite weapon array, object player weapon. Remember, the weapon variable is local to object player, so we have to reference it in this way. We're going to say, well, get object player's weapon variable, and that's the 13th element of the 2D array there, the 13th column of the weapon row. And the image index and the XY, that's all good. Then we're going to draw text under this. It's going to say ammo. Then we're going to grab the amount of ammo from this player. I think ammo was number 2 actually, and max ammo was number 1. And I had this back to front earlier, so it's weird. Yeah, max ammo is 1, and current ammo is number 2. Let's just make sure in our object player that we decrease the number 2. Minus equals 1. You can put minus minus if you want. Yeah, 2. 2 is current ammo. So current ammo, then we got a / plus the string, weapon array, object player, weapon, and the max ammo right over there. So now I'm going to push play, and hopefully this all works. Otherwise we're going to have to find some errors. The only thing I can think of maybe that we missed is changing a variable from I to weapon. That could have happened. Who knows? Let's push play. Fingers crossed, right? Okay, so here we have the game world. We have there switching nicely. Pistols, SMG, shotgun, AK. That's all working. That's also working. Oh, that's a bit out. Look at that. Oh, there. We need to change that to create object palette. Reloading. We can't shoot once reloading. Take that out. Cool, huh? Change. Wait, how many more have we got here? I'm going to show you that whole thing of changing weapon, and it won't affect the reload of this one. So if we're going to shoot 2, 3, 4, then I'm going to switch to AK. Shoot a whole lot of AK rounds. Back to here. 5, 6, reloading. See? Check that out. Each gun is holding its own amount of rounds fired, which changes back to 0 afterwards. And it's playing that pump sound after each shot. Except for the last one. Notice that. Because you don't pump the last one. I don't think so. I don't know, maybe you do. Whatever. You just decide how it works. And so the AK goes up to 90. They're reloading because it's shot out 30. Then it changes shots fired back to 0. You can shoot some more. Pistols again. The X offset is a bit wrong here. The X2 offset, but that's easily changed. But again, look here. See? Once reloading's finished, remember this was the long reload. So we shoot one, it's on the left, shoot next one, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. See? It's alternating between the two. That looks really cool. And then here we've got the Uzi, well, whatever it is, SMG. So that's pretty much everything there. That's the whole weapon system, complete weapon system. And we can't change weapons when we're reloading. And all this is stored in that two-dimensional array. Let me get to 0 rounds, and let's check if it says we can reload. Check that. It's playing that sound, that empty clip sound. If we change weapons, shotgun, we can carry on there. Go back to the Uzi. See? We can't. We're out of ammo. It's playing that empty clip sound. That's very cool. So that's all together. So you can take... If you do use this code in your finished project, it would be very nice of you to add a link to my YouTube channel, so we can get more people to check out these tutorials if they're interested in doing something very similar. Yeah, that's everything there. That's pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. This studio project will be right in the description. You know, go ahead and download it. I will be giving you not the code that we saw me type out, but a more detailed and coded version that I scrolled down to earlier. You saw that. It's got way more comments. You can kind of walk through it with the code that we created earlier. It should be very much the same. I mean, it does exactly the same function. But yeah, it has more comments, so that'll be great. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Also, feel free to like my Facebook page. The link is in the description. And I will catch you guys next time for another great GameMaker tutorial. Cheers.